The butcher looked on in anger, with no small urge to engage in person. His entire strategy for the combat had been simple, efficient, and hopefully bloody, as was his trademark. The Marines arrayed before him were to be fallen upon from behind, to be bushwhacked, confused, and cut to ribbons. He had performed a similar maneuver many times before, and it had never failed to surprise the Monkey. But today was different. Today he had underestimated his opponents. A rarity, but a costly one. His banshees had been arrayed in their wave serpents, the shining spears and wind riders moving around the edges of the Marines' range, taunting them, and then withdrawing like ghosts whenever followed. The striking scorpions had been inching up to their target zone, with the Dark Reapers ready to cover them with a punishing pinpoint barrage to sweep away any armor that may have caused them issues. All was prepared. But that was when they struck. What seemed to be normal Marines, if such a word could ever be used for the huge mutated genetic horrors the Monkey had created, were supposed to be taken unawares, but they were not. As the Reapers began their fire, the spears descending at the wave serpent set off on their headlong dash towards the enemy lines, it all went sideways. Firstly, the Reapers began to receive return fire. At the ranges in question, it should have been absolutely impossible for bolters of the Marines to strike them. Yet one Dark Reaper after another fell to this extended range and horribly accurate bolt of fire. It was as if the Marines could predict when they were going to pop up, and they took their heads off. The striking Scorpion's Exarch must have believed that they could steal the guns by their attack, but it was not so. As they charged into the Marines, others materialized as if they had been just awaiting such a move. But they did not just have chainswords, oh no. For his Scorpions had trained extensively on how to fight Marines armed with these twisted parodies of their own chain-blade weapons. When a few squads of Marines engaged them, they had a myriad of rare and powerful close combat weaponry in their number. Thunderhammers could not be blocked with a chainsword, certainly not by an Eldari warrior. Finding it impossible to get around the storm shields the Marines had had to protect themselves, the battle swiftly became a massacre. His men's. Hand flamers and plasma pistols, rare grenade types and power weapons. It was like the Monkey had unleashed their greatest weapons and greatest heroes all at once, and the butcher's men withered under the onslaught. His hand shone, his men on the defensive and losing rapidly. There was no other choice that could be made. The Butcher of Baltan was a bloody worker, but the blood was always to be of the lesser race's origin, never their own, never the Eldari. There were simply too few of them for the games of attrition the Imperium favoured so much. And truth be told, the loss of one Eldar life, just one, was not worth the population of an entire human world to the Butcher. With a foul taste in his mouth and a curse on his lips, the Butcher of Baltan ordered the Aspect Shrines to withdraw. It was a humbling defeat, but it was a small one. The actual outcome he had wished for was achieved. These Marines, these Monkey, would follow the Baltani fleet out to the edges of the system, as he had intended. Then he would slip sideways into the webway and escape. Either way, they would be pinned in place for the time he needed, by the time they went back to this world. By the time they secured it, by the time they were certain the Eldar had left, it would be quite some time. This contingent of Monkey at least would not be arriving at the world they called abundance for some time. And it was the window the Butcher needed to take his vengeance. Welcome, gentle listener. I am Baldermort, your faithful servant, and I wish to introduce you to the forces, factions, and important units of Warhammer 40k, the grim darkness of the far future. In this run of videos, we have been tracing the progression of an Astartes, a space marine, from their earliest posting proper in the 10th Company Scout Squads, all the way through assault and devastator positions, all the way to the tactical marine. The finished product, the Titans of War. Now, we are to discuss what happens if a Space Marine should not only survive decades of intense and never-ending combat, but if he should shine, he should excel and eclipse the abilities and character of his brethren in the battle-line companies. And they become veterans. Although in Astartes, a Space Marine is a veteran of thousands of battles over hundreds of wars, even to qualify to be a full Space Marine, there is still more development that is possible outside of merely becoming an officer of sorts. For the next step is for the rare warrior who is deemed exceptional enough to then be elevated to the hallowed glory of the First Company. Now, for the crux of the matter, let us lean on existing wisdom. To quote, Veteran Squads. The warriors of a chapter's first company are formally recognized as veterans, individuals who have achieved such magnificent deeds as to raise them head and shoulders above even the august assemblage of their battle brothers. These are the chapter's finest, and they are the terror of their foes. Each and every member of a chapter's first company is proficient in fighting with all the various types of weaponry available to the Adeptus Astartes. With their veteran status comes the right to select weapons of personal choice from the chapter's armory, and, as a result, veteran squads are much less rigid in their composition and battle doctrine than other Space Marine formations. Veterans are most often assembled and equipped to deal with the requirement of a specific theatre of war, such as embarking on seek and destroy missions to slay an Orc warboss and his bodyguard, or crippling an inbound wave of Asuyani aspect warriors before they can reach the battlefield. In most chapters, there is a rivalry of sorts between the Vanguard and Sternguard elements of the First Company. They compete endlessly for honours and hazardous combat duties, the glories and shames of their adherents celebrated and atoned for by all. Despite this rivalry, Vanguard and Sternguard veterans remain battle brothers above all else, and fight unto death for one another. Vanguard Veterans. A Vanguard Veteran squad is formed from those Space Marines of the chapter's first company who have immersed themselves in the art of close-quarters combat. Most have served lengthy rotations in the chapter's close support squads, and their skills in hand-to-hand warfare have been honed on 1,000 worlds. With the vaunted weaponry of the chapter's armory at their disposal, Vanguard veterans make use of such rare weapons as thunderhammers, lightning claws, storm shields, and artificer-crafted relic blades that slice through solid adamantine and monstrous Xenos chitin with equal ease. These weapons are revered heirlooms, and Vanguard veterans fight all the harder to honour both their battle gear's machine spirits and the memories of every hero who wielded the same relic in past wars. Whilst they can deploy at the forefront of an assault, most chapters employ their Vanguard veterans as rapid response forces, using jump packs or armoured transports to reposition and apply crucial pressure to an already overtaxed enemy defence. Vanguard veterans are famed for arriving at the time and place where their onslaught can make the most difference, striking at their opponents wherever they least expect. Such duty is dangerous and never-ending. Vanguard veteran squads are constantly in motion. As soon as one foe is annihilated, fresh orders are dispatched that send the veterans powering through the maelstrom of battle to bring the Emperor's vengeance to some new and terrible foe. Sternguard Veterans. Sternguard veterans face down impossible odds, with icy calm and precise bursts of gunfire. Most carry bolt weaponry with meticulously crafted sights and modified scopes. Heavier weapons are also available for tank hunting or infantry eradication roles, while their anti-personnel firepower is augmented by the range of specialist bolt ammunition. This includes vengeance rounds, with their unstable flux cores for blasting apart heavily armoured targets, propellant-rich Kraken bolts for extended range, and the acidic fury of Hellfire rounds that eat away the largest living targets from within. It takes a master artificer many years of painstaking work to produce even a handful of these rare bolt shells. They are, therefore, reserved for the veterans of a chapter's first company, entrusted to those Space Marines with a proven record of making every single shot count. End quote. The veterans, Vanguard and Sternguard, are a resource that is the very lifeblood of a chapter. They are its accumulated experience, wisdom, restraint, or intensely targeted wrath. Any one of the veterans is a sergeant, lieutenant, or captain in the making. The discipline second to none in the entire Imperium, and their lethality almost impossible to truly reflect. Again, they are not noticeably tougher, faster, or more accurate than their brothers in the battle line companies, but it is a question of experience. They know when a seemingly headlong charge at their ranks is actually a faltering act of desperation that will evaporate if key personnel are removed from the horde. They know how a target will move, when it will go to ground, and when it will rise up. They have fought so many battles, so many beings, that it is no longer a matter of thinking or predicting. They sense the ebb and flow of a battle like a weather vane does the wind. They can sense it, like any of us would be able to know the conclusion of a film or play we had seen a score of times before. It is this that makes them so lethal, so dependable, and so uncompromising. On rare occasions, a chapter has lost its first company in one battle, but this is a tragedy that cannot be measured in bodies or resources alone, for they are the heart and soul and future of a chapter. When a first company takes heavy casualties or is wiped out, this is a blow that few chapters recover from within 100 years. For every single one of them, as I have stated, is the future of the command structure of the chapter, the sergeants, lieutenants, and captains of tomorrow. But also, it is a blow to the confidence, the prestige, and the overall elan of the chapter. It means their best were not good enough, were not up to the task set them. For the martial spirit of the Space Marines, this can be a shame that cannot be borne. For if their brightest and bravest can be wiped out, then the chapter itself can recoil in an intensely dramatic way. Some such events could change the entire nature and emphasis of the chapter, and subsequently modify their entire doctrine of war, if they are not too closely adherent to the Codex Astartes at least. It is a loss that also diminishes the chapter in the eyes of their wider brethren, the other Astartes. For to lose the first is a calamity that is a great shame to a brotherhood of Marines. And this is as it should be. For the veterans are the big brothers to the entire chapter. They are the paragons who are called when the lines falter or the enemy is too resistant. They are the scalpel and the sledgehammer as required. But they are also the men who are the icons of the chapter, its brightest lights, its heroes. New ones will arise, for certain, as the spirit of man is irrepressible, and the Astartes the pinnacle of that in many regards. But it is a difficult thing to watch your bravest and brightest slaughtered, so it is to be avoided at all costs. Thus, in most circumstances, the first company is always broken into elements that will support the battle line companies. Eggs and baskets, after all. Now that we have dealt with the lore, let us discuss the pure joy of making and using the veterans in the game itself. Endless fun of the most wholesome stripe, as the veteran units are where the owner of his army can truly let his personality, his choices, and his vision take flight, to allow his imagination to soar and then realize it. For every single veteran squad is a labor of love, or it certainly should be. Why do I say this? What is so special in these units? I can sum this up in one word: customization. For every single model, every Marine in that squad, be it 5 or 10, now can have the weapon you choose. It is here, in the wild variety of weapons and options, and the combination thereof, that the hobby really is at its best. The choices of weapon, of armor, of additional bling, as was once said, all show the personality of the owner and the maker of the army on the board. It is the veterans that should truly be awash with heraldry, purity seals, banners, exotic and exciting weapon combinations, etc., etc. And these additional bits and bobs then encourage their player to put in just that little bit more effort into their making, their painting, their bases, their posing. If you want to know who a player is, want to know what kind of person they are, what kind of gamer they are, look at their Vanguard and Sternguard units. For it is here you will truly see the person for the modeler and maker and painter they are. Just remember, please, that very few people are universally talented. So if their model seems a bit wonky, the weapons not attached perfectly, or their paint job basic, then for the love of the Emperor, take pride in what your brother has achieved, and perhaps consider holding your tongue on anything that you personally would not have done. For the Vanguard units are them. They are their creativity let loose. So be kind, be a good brother. Deride whatever else you must if you must, but leave their Vanguard and Sternguard alone. For in my experience, this is the fastest way to crush their urge to improve, and the ending of many a friendship. Vanguard and Sternguard, they are not just boxes of pieces. They are the myriad shards that a Warhammer fan can use to forge a thing of beauty, a way to express themselves. Always, always be kind. Because you could be in the presence of an early stages Blanche, or a Picasso, who just needs for you to not step on his dreams. Trust me, in the days to come, when you look back on your gaming journey, you will gain far, far more satisfaction from the beaming smile and the glow of camaraderie than you ever would any slight serotonin hit from trying to prove yourself the better Warhammer fan in some way, the more skilled, the more artistic. So always be kind, and try to see the beauty and passion that is contained in these little warriors that they have lavished such love on, and use it to fire your own passion. For that is all that truly matters in this great hobby. Escapism and passion. Be a good brother. And like a strange YouTuber who never thought he would get anywhere, you might just be amazed at what you reap from this hearty sowing for the future. I have been Baldermort, your faithful servant. I hope you have enjoyed this brief introduction to the veteran squads of the Adeptus Astartes, the firstborn Space Marines. Our next stop will be a quick run of updates on the new Primaris units before we return to the next stages of the Marines' career. I sincerely hope you will join me on these wonderful little journeys. Now, no matter what you do today, do try to make some time for fun. Toodaloo.